gentlemen, and welcome back to another video. Today's topic is going to be about the true killer of games. Not just single player games, because I know I made a recent video about that a couple of days ago. But today's topic is going to pertain to hype. Now, we all know what hype is. If I need to give a bit of a synopsis on it, it's just basically you looking at a bit of gameplay or a bit of a trailer for a game that you assume is going to be hype. Not hype. You assume is going to be good by basing the gameplay off of the teaser, which is poor, and I'm going to go over that in this video about why that's a poor decision to do. But hype is a real killer for a lot of games. Like, people just assume what a game should be like based on teasers, early access, and oftentimes with very little experience with the game, if any, before you see one of these channels, not necessarily a hate channel, because this isn't attacking anyone, coming out with like a 20-minute video about the issues of the game and things like that, and how it's not as good as the original and things like that. So let me just clarify this. There is nothing wrong with hype. Okay? There's nothing wrong with hype, but when you assume that something has to meet your expectations, and that if it's not meeting your expectations, that it's automatically bad, then I don't think that you should be watching teasers, because you think that that's supposed to be what the game is. And while sometimes I agree, because these teasers are usually more funded than the dang development of the game itself, that doesn't mean that the game is necessarily a bad game. It just didn't meet your expectation. So let me go over a few games that have just died due to hype, and in some cases, the choices of developers. I'm just going to go over a couple, okay? We've got No Man's Sky, or the famous meme, No Man's Buy. We've got Destiny 2. We've got, The Division. The Division is now played a bit more, but for a while it came out and everyone loved it, and then they just went away because it was overhyped. We've got, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. I mean, I can go on quite a bit. I've marked a couple of games down, but I'm just going to stop it right there. Each one of those games suffered from the community looking at that and thinking, wow, just going to be amazing. This is going to be an absolute blast, and I'm probably not going to have anything to do but stay in my room like how I usually do and just play this game all day. Only to discover that the games did not meet their expectations at all, like, if any. And while, yes, some of these games may have changed a bit and have drawn a couple of people back, it still does not excuse the massive decline in player count that these games suffered. So, hype, let me explain this. The footage that most time people see is usually alpha and beta footage of gameplay. The teasers are made with very expensive CGI effects and animation teams from the games themselves, but that's not necessarily a scene from the game. You understand what I mean? Like, if you look at trailers for, like, a game, or, like, you know, those usual things that'll start up if you're just in a menu of a game and it's like it'll pop up a teaser. Usually that's not even a cutscene in the game. That is something that was put together to create hype for the game, to say, hey, this cutscene looks really cool. It's in 1080p, 60 frames a second. Looks like something really interesting is going on in the cutscene, but that's not even part of the story. Why? Because it's trying to draw you in to say, wow, man, look at how well that's designed. even though that's not even gameplay or canon in the story to begin with. It draws people in, and then it gets their expectations up about that is how the game is going to look. So they just get in the sense of, okay, I've seen the gameplay, which they haven't. The quality is in 1080p, 60 frames per second, even though it's a teaser. And this story is going to be amazing simply because a lot of developers put a lot of time and money into creating a really good CGI teaser. When in reality, the gameplay is far from that. And most of the time, you don't even see that cutscene teaser that you saw in the freaking trailer that they show off at E3 and all the other huge things. And I just want to say this, if you like going to those things, that's perfectly fine, but I really feel like people should just stop going to those. Now, I know no one's really gonna give two hoots about some guy with 17 subscribers and about what he says, but what I'm trying to say is people often look at those trailers and just assume how the game is supposed to be. You know what I mean? They just assume that that game is going to look how they presented it in the trailer. What people aren't understanding is it's just like business. They're gonna show what they want you to see. They're not gonna show you any bugs. They're not gonna show you the drops in frame rates at certain areas. They're not gonna show you the problems that the gameplay might have. They're going to show you what's good. So then your expectations get up. Hype is the true killer for games because people get their expectations like ridiculous. Like some of these expectations that you hear on Reddit and YouTube, I don't think they fathom how much goes into making a game, especially if the company actually is devoted to making a good game and not just a cash grab. They think that that is supposed to look like realistic, 1080p, 60 frames a second, don't have any loading areas, don't have any glitches and things like that. And it's like, despite a game not being as good as the trailer, doesn't necessarily make it a bad game. You get where I'm coming from? There's plenty of games that had like pretty much awful teasers, and they're great. And I'm just going to say that you should do what you want to with these trailers. If you really want to watch them to build hype, go ahead. But just to know, gaming is still a business. These publishers and, managers are out to make money. They're going to use whatever practices that they can use to draw you in. Whether it's seeing a big YouTuber that you love open up 10,000 loot boxes, or if it's just some super expensive trailer that sometimes gets more funding than the freaking game itself to produce hype, to make people want to buy the game even though they don't know crap about the gameplay itself. You need to understand that reality and expectations are two very, very different things. And in the term of programming, which I have studied a bit, just to code like simple animations takes quite a lot. Okay, quite a lot. So if you're doing that, and keep in mind that you're going to be doing this for years, it is very easy to miss out on a couple of bugs or two. So can we give some of these developers some slack, especially the good ones? I've seen some good developers just get absolutely floored because of simple bugs that didn't even matter. Now, if it breaks gameplay, I understand, but a simple, I don't know, certain area has mild, not even serious, just mild frame drops, and people flip, they just flip out. You know, screw if the gameplay is amazing, screw if it runs pretty well. You know, that one area having frame drop, oh no, it's time to go to Reddit. It's time to scream, it's time to boycott, it's time to lose our mind. It's pretty childish, and it just shows that they don't really have any idea what actually goes into a game. As for me, let me just finish it off with this. Hype, don't buy into like the teasers. Don't look at the obvious trailers. Like let's take a look at a obvious trailer that's going to draw people in. Destiny 2's Forsaken DLC. They're killing off Cade 6. Come on, guys, that doesn't sound remotely close to being something to draw you in to say, hey, don't you want to know what happens? Let's put this, like I said, super high CGI effects together with to whereas it looks better than the freaking game itself. Sure, that's not trying to draw you in. And plenty of people are already like, hey, I'm definitely getting that. Just saying, you wrapped around their fingers, guys. Wrapped around their fingers. It's a business practice. You have to keep in mind that although we love games, it's still a business. These people are still about making money. So if you're going to consider buying a game, especially because games nowadays are just $60, and then there's the DLCs, which can lead to $150, if not more sometimes, I'd say wait till the game comes out. And don't look at reviews, look at the gameplay. The real gameplay, not the alpha, not the beta. Look at the release. Wait a while, okay? Do not just buy a game because it looks cool and it just came out. You don't know anything about the gameplay. Don't trust a teaser because a teaser can be completely misleading. That cutscene won't even be in the story half of the time. When you're going to consider buying a game, look at gameplay. Don't trust reviews because, like I said, reviews can be bought as well. And reviews are heavily biased, so just look at gameplay, because reviews are just practically useless nowadays. Look at gameplay. Discover what the game is lacking in, what it is strong in, and from that decision, decide whether or not the game is free. With that being said, that's all I had to say about this topic. I hope you enjoyed the video. Rate the video what you think it deserves. Tell me what you want to see in the future in the comments below. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, I will see you in the next video. Take care.